Watch this.
They cut their budgets before to get them to get rid of DEI on campus. Well, Idaho's universities did that. And now, lawmakers are threatening to do it again to the tune of $2 million. Who is allowed to fight which fires on what land still seems to be a point of confusion. Not for those in charge of fighting those fires, but for those who think they need a law to make it more clear, or maybe more redundant. Idaho's Republican and Democratic lawmakers rarely agree on much. But when it comes to cancer, well, solidarity is the standard. And several of them showed that in a buzzworthy way. You know, money can make people do a lot of things, or better yet, those who control the purse strings can make people who need what's in that purse do a lot of things. Past few years, there's been a lot of hand-wringing and witch hunting over the budgets of Idaho's colleges and universities, looking for anything that gave off the appearance, of CRT, critical race theory, or DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those institutions were threatened with budget cuts if they didn't ditch them. So they did, or at least they said they did, because according to those in the all-powerful budgeting committee, maybe they didn't. And they've decided to send another strong message to Boise State and the University of Idaho. DEI programs and activities on campus, well, they're still there, and we don't like it, those lawmakers said. And maybe $2 million might get these schools to kind of take a closer look at what they're actually doing on these campuses, because apparently they're looking for some sort of punitive now measure to make them do more of this, I guess. Right, Joe?
Yeah, and we did see major changes at U of I and Boise State in response to this, but Boise State and U of I, you may remember, they closed service offices and changed programs after the State Board of Education passed a resolution late last year that bans offices that promote DEI ideology on college campuses. But still, some lawmakers want to send a new message, a message that comes with that budget cut. Others on JFAC question the logic behind it.
Now it is happening, but we have the power of the purse, and if we expect to see a change, then I think this legislature needs to use that.
I would argue now, today, that there has been a course change. There's been a correction, and it's not over, and there's more to be done. But if we continue to punish and be punitive to our universities, we lose our negotiating power.
To me, it's not necessarily that we're trying to punish one specific thing. I think the university in itself needs to take drastic actions in a different direction. And this is just sending that message.
We cannot ask people to make change, watch them make change, and then continue to punish them. That is not how it works in negotiations. That is not how it works in the real business world. And we will lose our power as a body to ask for change.
Hopefully this sends a slight message to them to straighten their act up.
So the budget, again, it passed with those cuts, $2 million each for the University of Idaho and Boise State. But what is the impact of the cut? Well, some argue it's small money in the overall scheme of things. In context of the entire budget itself, JFAC leaders say without the message, with cuts, the budget just won't pass.
So this reduction would not impact any DEI programs that were at the universities, which to my knowledge have all been eliminated thanks to the state board's actions. So this would not be impacting DEI programs. I just got a text message from U of I telling me that what they would do if they had to cut $2 million, which is apparently what the intent is here, they'd be cutting their early stage programs. So their mining degree would be the thing to go away.
If even with $2 million cut to Boise State is around $600,000 net impact because of all the other gains they're making. So it's essentially a flat budget. University of Idaho is around $200,000 net impact. So it's essentially, again, a flat budget.
What we're talking about doing here is firing professors and getting rid of programs.
At this point, we're being pragmatic and just trying to get something that we think we can advance, at least in the House.
It'll now head to all the lawmakers from consideration. Brian, they also passed language for DEI audits.
Okay, so my question is, the State Board of Education has defined DEI, but Idaho legislature and Idaho code has not defined what exactly is DEI and what are they looking for?
Yeah,
how do they know it when they see it?
It's a question that some lawmakers are pushing back on, saying, what are we chasing after here? But they also said, we know this budget won't pass the House specifically if this type of message isn't sent. So,
all right. Thanks, Joe. The debate over firefighting on land that in Idaho, I should say, it keeps getting a little bit hotter. We talked about it yesterday a little bit with House Bill 389 and the Bureau of Land Management reacting to this bill that would allow the state to fight fires on federal lands and seek reimbursement if they were to do so. There's already a system in place, we were told. It's called the Master Fire Agreement, and it's been in place since 2006. The agreement between the 5 federal agencies, the Idaho Department of Lands, and it says whoever might be closest to that fire should go out there and fight it as soon as possible. And if a federal agency fights a fire on state land or vice versa, the plan also has a plan to pay each other for doing that. So why is there a need? Why would there be a need for a bill to do the exact same thing, which is what's happening at the State House right now?
Yeah, and lawmakers and the agencies fighting these fires really seem to be on 2 different pages when it comes to that answer. I asked Representative Judy Boyle, who's the bill sponsor, how her bill differs from the existing agreement. She says she's aware of the agreement, but she feels there's a gap which she's trying to close. The agreement divides up the state into areas of responsibility for which agencies respond to fires on that land. Boyle believes there are some areas where the state isn't allowed to fight fires on federal land. But BLM, a spokesperson with BLM, says the state doesn't need permission to fight fires on those federal lands. They say in a previous version of the agreement, the response the verbiage says response of closest forces was not in there, but it has been in place in that agreement since 2023, which is the last time this agreement was updated. In the agreement, the closest forces concept says initial attack suppression resources is to prioritize the closest and most appropriate resource, regardless of ownership, control, or which agency holds protection responsibility or jurisdiction. Now, this master agreement was the topic of today's discussion in the Senate committee hearing that this bill got. And it also outlines how agencies are reimbursed if they do fight a fire on land that is not managed by them. The bill wants to give the Attorney General authority to seek reimbursements through civil suits, but Senator James Rutke is concerned that would violate the agreement that we're already in.
I'm trying to figure out how the Attorney General's office is going to have a chance at being successful in a lawsuit when we've already entered into an agreement regarding who pays what in these situations and who has what obligations.
Representative Boyle says she has been informed. The federal government is several years behind in paying Idaho in these scenarios, which is why she added the Attorney General section to try and recover these costs. BLM did acknowledge that reimbursements take time, but they said for the most part, these are really handled within that time frame that they're supposed to be. But there are instances where fires, there might be something going on with that fire. They might need to look into something more, and that might take longer.
Yeah, and I guess it would cost more money than to file a lawsuit to get this thing done.
Yeah.
The question we ask a lot, like, why is this necessary? This seems like on both fronts, it's really not.
Yeah, especially when you come to that Attorney General clause. He doesn't need to have a bill to be able to pursue civil action if the federal agencies aren't paying the state.
Exactly. All right. Thank you very much, Aspen.
This is truly a win-win. There we go.
All right.
With that, Governor Brad Little takes another $100 million more out of the state's revenue and returns it to Idaho's property owners and school districts. He signed House Bill 304 today in the driveway of a house on the Boise bench. A young family that's going to get the benefit of nearly 15% decrease in property taxes, which will be about $450 a year for the average homeowner. With that signature, $50 million is going to go to counties to reduce property taxes, and then another $50 million is going to go into an account for school districts to pay off bonds, levies, or pay for future school facilities. This would be the third tax cut bill this session, totaling $403 million. Meanwhile, how much are Idaho lawmakers paying to travel outside the Gem State? Or more specifically, who's paying for them to do that? House Bill 378 would require any legislative official to report any out-of-state travel paid for by someone else if it's a government-related event. Well, after some contentious debate a couple of weeks ago in the House, because, well, some consider this requirement unfair, it still passed. But today, the Senate State Affairs Committee sent it to the 14th order, meaning they want to see about making some changes to it. Senators were concerned about verbiage. Once again, in the name of local control, the bill to ban camping in public is now headed to the governor. Senate Bill 1141 cleared the full House yesterday. It would make sleeping on sidewalks or in the park or in a car or in an RV for any prolonged period of time illegal, but only in cities with more than 100,000 people. So basically in Boise, Meridian, and Nampa, if the governor signs it. And if they don't, if he doesn't, I should say, if they don't follow these rules, these three cities, they could get sued by the state attorney general for up to $10,000 for each incident. Any other city in Idaho, they could impose the same rules, but they aren't really required to do so. The debate was short yesterday, but focused on how much this bill doesn't do much to address homelessness or the reasons people might be experiencing it.
And so when we hear about encampments and the concentration of people who don't have safe housing and its correlation to crime, that's true, but don't let it scare you. These folks aren't coming into my neighborhood. They're not coming into the North End and victimizing me. They're victimizing one another because they're desperate.
Outdoor public spaces aren't the only spaces lawmakers are concerned with. House Bill 264 would take Idaho's 2023 transgender bathroom law, which was just ruled to be enforceable just last week, and it would expand it beyond public schools to include colleges and universities, as well as women's shelters and women's prisons. All of those places would need to designate multi-occupancy bathrooms, changing rooms, and sleeping areas as either male or female based on biological differences. The bill, including colleges and universities and who is going to determine a person's gender, gave some senators pause.
We should not designate ourselves the moral police. We have made it illegal for a young woman to invite a young man over to her dorm room. It's none of our business.
It's just wild that the place we've got to as a culture, and we just heard that we're chasing down these culture war issues. I don't believe we're chasing them down. I think bills like this, we're actually pushing back.
So this is about protecting girls and women.
And it's hard to tell sometimes if somebody is a man or a woman. And that, therefore, the purpose of the bill is stated to protect women, but now you're potentially opening the door to harass.
Somebody also brought up the point of, well, what about local control? We're taking that away with this. But still, the amended bill passed the Senate 27-6, now heads back to the House to approve those changes. Okay, so the next space protecting or worth protecting, government entities. That could be government buildings. Yeah, we got to protect them against flags that don't, belong here, according to this law. Governor Little signed the flag bill ban for schools, but now House Bill 96 prevents the state, counties, or cities from flying flags on any of their buildings that are not the U.S. flag, the state of Idaho flag, or anything of military or tribal. There are exceptions for, again, university flags, public schools, and other country flags on special occasions only. But there were a lot of questions about this bill on the Senate floor.
Question of the sponsor, if he will yield.
Would the senator from 4 yield to another question?
The bill sponsor might yield to another question. Would the city of Bonners Ferry be able to continue flying the Canadian flag?
It's a little bit of a gray area, to be honest.
Would my neighborhood in the historic district be able to hang the flags in the photo if this bill were passed?
Some of the flags, yes, but some of the flags, no.
Would that be considered a flag?
In my judgment call in that situation, I see that more of as a sign than a flag.
More of a sign than a flag. Well, the flag bill passed with amendments. Now it heads back to the House for a review of those amendments before heading possibly to the governor's desk to, again, if he signs it, become law.
ready?
We're ready for it. Our ladies in Idaho will have an opportunity to get early detection. And because of that, we're going to keep families together longer.
Uplifting stories out of the State House don't come along all the time, but this week they did. Monday marked a significant milestone at the Idaho State House as a new bill officially became law, as you just saw. Sponsored by Representative Brooke Green, the bill mandates most insurance companies to cover supplemental breast cancer screenings, such as ultrasounds and MRIs, for high-risk patients. It's been rare to see such overwhelming bipartisan support for a bill this session, but this one brought lawmakers together from both sides of the aisle. Green's fight with breast cancer is also a personal one. She's battled the disease twice in the past 6 months, and she begins chemotherapy again today. So, Tuesday, it was another rare day at the State House, and even outside of it, filled with bipartisan support, as Hunter Funk explains.
The day started with laughter.
We now have the representative with the best hair. The nominees are
as the pages at the state capitol gave out awards.
I think we all already know who won. The representative with the best hair in the House is Representative John Schertz.
But the reign of his thick and best hair,
I think a lot of women in this building are sad to see it go,
was cut short. Literally.
It's like Pohanka said I should.
Because Representative Mike Pohanka wove together legislators.
You guys ready? My name's Maddie.
Yeah, John.
Like Representative John Schertz.
Okay.
And several others.
You just voted best hair this week.
To take a seat.
Ooh. Oh boy.
And shave it off.
Oh, man.
And don't worry.
I gotta get some of this.
Pohanka saved some of Schertz's hair as a keepsake.
Oh, there she is.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you so much. Seriously.
Yeah.
Ask how long it's been since Rep. Mark Sauter shaved his head.
Probably 15 years ago. Yeah, when I was in the fire service.
And Rep. Jaron Crane.
When I joined the Army 14 years ago.
Cut after cut.
Dang, I had a lot of hair on there, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. In a quick hour, nearly a dozen lawmakers revealed their scalps.
Wow. Here you go, everyone. A center mohawk.
I'm all in. It'll grow back. It'll grow back.
While there were many laughs,
I'm feeling this love.
It was also very emotional. This is all being done.
Everybody looks good.
To support Representative Brooke Green.
You know, it's for a great cause and for our friend.
As she battles breast cancer for the second time in 6 months.
She's got a fight in front of her. And whatever we can do, whatever I can do to help ease her pain, that's what I'm here for.
Truly, I couldn't have asked for a better place to.
Well, just go beat it now for us.
Yeah, just keep fighting. Yeah,
Just be surrounded by so many people who truly just love and care. I know you're not
We love you, Brooke.
you guys.
Win the fight. Love you.
And while they support Green, a lot of the legislators also say they hope this reminds others to go get their routine checkups.
Yeah, and it should mean, obviously, with this new law, that doesn't go into effect until July, I
Correct.
understand. But
Yeah.
still, that would open the door for more people to get that done.
Exactly. I mean, I felt like I talked to every single one of them who were just like, yeah, you know, we support her and we always will. But
Yeah.
also in this sense, it's like, hey, the more publicity we can get on this so somebody can be like, huh, I should go get checked,
Yeah.
the better.
Because everybody's on the same team when it's cancer.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, thanks, Hunter. Well, some other good news going on in the 208. You know, like Tree Fort happening this week in Boise. There's a national title to celebrate in Caldwell and a potential Hall of Fame induction. Abby Davis has all of that in the 411.
The Satanic Temple wants another shot at Idaho's abortion ban. The organization filed a lawsuit against Idaho saying abortion was a religious right for them, so denying access to it would be a constitutional violation. Last year, a district court dismissed the case, but the Satanic Temple appealed that decision, and today they made their case to the Ninth Circuit Court. We won't have a decision for a while. The Idaho Transportation Department says Highway 95 will fully close again this Sunday between Council and New Meadows. It won't open again until early May. This is because of ongoing construction after a landslide earlier this month. Drivers should use Highway 55 instead. Tree Fort is finally here. Today is the first of the 5-day music festival all over downtown Boise. And because it's all over, there are some roads closed. That includes 8th Street from Broad to Front Street and Broad Street from 5th to 6th Street. There's also no parking on 3rd Street, just south of Myrtle, now through Sunday. Valley Regional Transit is once again offering its free Treeline bus service with your Treefort wristband. You can still buy select tickets on Treefort's website. All the Yotes do is win, 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 no matter what. And this time, the College of Idaho men's basketball team won their second NAIA national title in 3 years. Speaking of winning, Idaho's 3-time Olympic cyclist Kristen Armstrong is being nominated for a Hall of Fame induction. On the official Team USA website, you can vote once per day for the Hall of Fame inductees. And that's the 411 on the 208. I'm Abby Davis.
It's been a long time since I've said we're feeling hot, 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 but that's exactly what is happening outside right now. We have a record-setting March 26th, as anticipated. All right, here's the places that have set records so far. Jerome, Twin Falls, Stanley, Mountain Home, Boise within 2 degrees still of the record high, but only for the 4th time ever since we've been keeping records. Boise has hit 80 degrees in March. 82 right now in Caldwell, 77 in Ontario, 60 in Stanley, 64 in Haley. What a phenomenally warm day. So the warmth certainly came to fruition. However, the thunderstorms we had been anticipating have not. We are seeing a little bit of moisture finally making its way in from the south. A couple showers trying to develop over the Magic Valley. We've had some spot showers over the Owyhees. One lightning strike right there. So here's our first thunderstorm of the afternoon, but we did not see those strong storms develop, which actually is great news if you're heading out to enjoy Treefort or just enjoy this beautiful evening. We will stay clear and sunny and warm in Boise. A little breezy though, winds out of the south, but still at 9 o'clock tonight, we're still at 70 degrees. Tomorrow, we do start cooling down. We'll hit the low 70s as cooler air starts working its way in from the west, and that will lead to another cool down on Friday and generally an unsettled weather pattern with some scattered showers through the weekend.
All right, let's get to your comments. Colleen in Boise wants to know, with all the bills going through, did we ever get an explanation as to why the governor signed school choice bill, House Bill 93, when so many more people were against it? No, we never did get an on-camera explanation where we could ask questions like, why did you do this? More budget cuts. Idaho legislature keeps kicking the universities like a cruel pet owner when the dog is already down. That's why BSU is looking for a new president now. Possibly, Kip. That's a good possibility. Before completely dissolving a DEI program, maybe the legislators should, I don't know, take a class or two from those programs and learn how to diversify the ways in which they waste time and money. Learn how to actually be useful, says excuse me, that was from Kelly. How about this one? This whole flag banning thing started to get confusing. I say fly any flag you want, as long as it's not Nazi or Confederate. Well, this guy just wants to wave the white flag. So will we, at least for today. We'll be back tomorrow.
Continue with us and watch free now on the KTVB Plus app, everywhere you stream.